Hey everybody, this is Jeremy. Just wanted to talk to you all today about functional programming. For those of you all who don't know me, I'm a C# developer. I work for a big Fortune 500 company as an architect, and the product that I work on is written almost entirely in C# as far as the back end goes. The front end, obviously normal web technologies, but for almost all of my career, that's what I've focused on is C#. My classes in college were written in Java, but I've never actually had a job where I was writing Java. It's all of my full-time work has always been done in C#. And lately, as I've been reading things, last several months, I've been reading more and more, hearing a lot of people talk about functional programming. And as you all know, C# and Java, for that matter, are both object-oriented programming. And so I kept hearing about functional programming this, functional programming that, and I wanted to find out more about it. So over the last few months, I've really been digging into functional programming, and I've really liked a lot of what I've been seeing. And so I wanted to share some of what I've learned with you all. And today is just going to be a very, very high level introduction. And specifically, I'm going to focus on one specific functional programming language. But the first thing that obviously would be helpful is to explain what is functional programming. And if you do just a basic Google search, you'll see a summary brought up here by Wikipedia. It says, in computer science, functional programming is a programming paradigm, a style of building the structure and elements of computer programs that treats computation as the evaluation of mathematical functions and avoids changing state and mutable data. So that's kind of a weird explanation, really. But if you start thinking about it, it does mention several things that are really big with functional programming. First of all, if you're coming from a C# background or a Java background, you're used to objects, you're used to classes, and functional programming does not use objects, they don't use classes. Instead, they basically compose a series of functions. And these functions should always, given a certain set of inputs, they should always produce the same output. Just like a function in math, if you have a mathematical function and you provided a certain input, the output should always be the same. And that's how functional programming works as well. Um, Functional programming is big on um, avoiding side effects. So, um, that shouldn't, if you call a method that does one thing, it shouldn't also do B, C, D, and E. If you go to um, get an object out of a database, it shouldn't update that object as well. Also, they're really big on mutable data. So in C# and Java, by default, everything I'm sorry, avoiding mutable data. I apologize. In C# and Java, everything is mutable by default, meaning that especially in a multi-threaded application, one thread could change the state of a variable that another thread is reading. This is why you see a lot of stuff talking about, is it thread safe, is it not thread safe? And um, also, most functional languages avoid or limit the ability to set a variable as null. So this is really a poor explanation. I'm probably doing a really terrible job of this for anybody watching who's been doing functional programming for a long time. You're probably gonna write all kinds of nasty comments about how I messed it up and didn't say this right or said that wrong, but that's okay. I'm a newbie to functional programming, and hopefully I can just teach you a little bit if you are not new to it, if you have not used it at all before. If you've been doing functional programming for a long time, you might as well skip this video because I'm not going to be able to teach you anything that you don't already know. So when it comes to functional programming, there's a lot of functional languages out there. One of the most popular ones that I see is Scala or Scala. There's also Haskell, Erlang. There's a whole lot of functional programming languages out there. But as I mentioned before, I'm a C# developer by training. It's what I use every day at my job. So the functional programming language that I decided to learn is F#. And F sharp, if you go to fsharp.org, that's the F Sharp Foundation. that oversees the F# language. Um, F# runs on the .NET runtime, so a C# program can call F# code directly, which is one of the big reasons that I decided to learn F# versus something like Scala that runs on the JVM. I figure that if I can learn a language that could easily be used, I'd be more likely to pick it up and be able to apply it in my daily job. So if you're used to writing C# code and you decide you want to learn a functional programming language, if you use F#, you can call it directly, and you don't have to install anything extra on the server or anything else. You can just call it and you're good to go. So there's several different websites that I've been using to learn F# and just wanted to go over them real quickly. The fsharp.org Foundation is a great website. They've got lots of tutorials, guides for web development, data science, mobile apps, machine learning, financial computing. A lot of times you'll hear people say that F# is only good for certain things, but that's really not the case. You can pretty much anything you can do with C#, you can pretty much do with F#. Um, you know, there's some things that maybe if you're building a desktop application, maybe F# wouldn't be as good as C#, but it can be done. And that's one of the big things that I've been reading is the F# community is really trying to get over that stereotype that F# is not a general purpose language. So it is cross-platform, it is open source, and it's been around for many years. Another website that I've used to learn is tryfsharp.org. They have a lot of tutorials and things that you can do, teaching you, kind of walking you through the process of learning F#. And another one that is really great for referencing a lot of times when I'm trying to solve a problem with F# and I don't know how to do it, when I do a Google search, this F# for Fun and Profit website comes up. So they've got a ton of information and a lot of very helpful information. Now, these three websites are all free, but one of the websites that I use the most to learn about F# is Pluralsight, but you do have to have a subscription. But if you have a Pluralsight subscription, they've got a ton of really great videos. I've watched a lot of them. If you just do a search for F#, you'll find them. I've got a playlist at Pluralsight of F# videos that I'm still waiting to watch. I've watched probably about 6 or 7 different F# videos already, but these are on my to watch playlist for F# programming languages. So one question that you may be asking is who all is using F#, and probably the most popular company, I guess the most well-known company that I know of that's using F# and really promoting it is jet.com. I don't know if you all are familiar with this website or not. They started up as a competitor to Amazon, and they were recently purchased by Walmart. So that's pretty impressive, and their entire backend is written using the F# programming language. They're really big on microservices and F#. One of the first times I was introduced to F# is I was listening to Scott Hanselman's podcast, and he had Rachel Reese on, and she works for jet.com, and she was talking about how they use F#, and it was a really good podcast, and one of the first introductions that I got to F# that kind of sparked my curiosity and made me want to learn more about it. So what are some of the reasons that companies use F#? What Rachel Reese said in her podcast with Scott Hanselman, and this podcast is several months old by now, but if you go and search, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. She said that they wrote part of their pricing engine in C#, and then they also wrote it in F# to compare the two and see how the two performed over time. And what they found out was that the code that was written in F# had fewer bugs, it was developed faster, and the developers enjoyed working with it more than they did with C#. And that's really a common theme that you read throughout whenever you read about case studies or you read about companies that have switched from C# to F#. Those 3 points really come up over and over again: is fewer bugs, faster development time, and happier developers. So, that's three pretty impressive goals or pretty impressive outcomes from switching from C sharp to F sharp. Now, I'm not advocating switching, but what I am advocating is that it's good to learn another language and it's good to explore what else is out there. I know that as I've learned F sharp, it's had a big influence on how I write C sharp code. It's made me think about things differently and come up with solutions that otherwise may have not thought of. It's also several times helped me to use features of C sharp that I was never comfortable with using before. But the F sharp exposed me to those features and how they can be useful and how they can benefit. So that is pretty much it for today. In the next several videos, I'm going to walk you through how to set up your environment for using F sharp. And then after that, I'm going to start walking you through some exercises that I've been doing to help me learn F sharp even better and start writing code. So hope you all like this. I'm sure that there's some things that you probably disagree with, and if so, that's fine. Leave a comment below and tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did right. Let me know what questions you have about F sharp. Have you used it before? If you have used it before, I'd love to hear what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Have you seen any benefits from learning F sharp? So that's all I have for today. Hope you all have a great day. Talk to you later. Thanks.